You want to tell me what that means? It figures speech in which a part is used for a whole, an individual for a class, a material for a thing, or the reverse of any of these. Next question. The correct spelling is Synecdoche.
Spell this correctly. You'll be our 10th and last finalist.
Carmagnole. Could I get a definition, please? A lively song and street dance. CARMA. ENOLE. Carmagnole.
That's correct. And that means you are our 10th and last finalist in District B.
That boy's mama helped him out.
Excuse me. Who are you?
I'm Keely's sister. I was standing right back there, and I saw that boy's mama give him the letter G. She was saying G. He knew the word. I mean, it's one we studied there. He knew it. And
Did you help your child spell the word? And this is serious business.
serious. You weren't going to get these kids answers. Do you know how long he has studied for their? He knew that word. No, I didn't.
Sorry, number 62. You are disqualified from competition. Which means, number 54, if you can spell one word, you'll be our 10th and last finalist.
Fish. Pastiche.
That's correct.
Yossel.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
Good, good, good. How's Ann?
Not well, but
Um,
so be it.
I'm sorry to hear that. You're early.
Yeah, because I'm afraid that I would forget to get on while I'm doing something else.
Well, it's good to see you.
You can make me go away and I could do something else as long as this automatically brings me back. You don't have to schmooze with me for 20 minutes.
I'm happy to schmooze with you. I think Lorin is going to get on in about 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So that will be good.
Well, I'm going to go back to some other stuff I have to do, but I will kick in, or it will kick in when, whoops, hold on. Whoa, what happened? Oh, there you are. I'm sure something will kick in to tell me it's 1 o'clock, right? I'll hear things.
Hope so.
Okay. See you in a bit.
Okay. Okay, and Fran, I'm going to disappear into the background and then Lauren will go.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Fran Dvorkin, and I am a member of the Chicago YIVO Board of Directors. The Chicago YIVO Society is a local affiliate of the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research. The mission of Chicago YIVO is to entertain and educate the local community through subsidized lectures, music programs, and film screenings that reflect the rich heritage and diversity of Jewish culture, and to ensure the future of Yiddish through language education. Please go to our website, chicagoyivo.org, for more information and to become a member or a donor. Your financial support helps bring us programming such as we have today. And today in our program, we have Lorin Sklamberg. He is a founding member of the Grammy Award-winning Yiddish American roots band, the Klezmatics. He also teaches Yiddish song from Sao Paulo to St. Petersburg. His newest project focuses on newly discovered Yiddish cabaret songs from Helsinki. Other recent work includes 150 Voices, a recorded collaboration with singer-instrumentalist Paulina Shepherd and the members of 5 choirs in the UK and the United States. Since the year 2000, Sklamberg has served as the sound archivist of New York's YIVO Institute for Jewish Research, for whom he has co-curated the Ruth Rubin Legacy website, featuring field recordings of the renowned folklorist's collection of some 3,000 Yiddish folk songs. Please help me in welcoming Lorin Sklamberg.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And I've been invited to talk a little bit about the YIVO display, YIVO Sound Archive. As Fran said, I've been working in this capacity since 2000, and I actually was at YIVO for 7 years, from 1987 to 94, which will figure a little bit in my talk. So I've had a long association with YIVO, so I can't seem to leave it behind. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna share my screen here, and we're gonna share this, and yeah. All right. Are we ready? Good. Here we go. All right. So we're going to talk about the Max and Frieda Weinstein archive of YIVO sound recordings. And I have some images that I'm going to share with you. There's just some random images of sort of the current and past history of the sound archive. What you see there on your right is a brochure that was put out by the Sound Archive when it first opened in the early 1980s. To the left, you see our current office. As you can see, it's quite small, and there's 2 of us who work there. Plus, now we have an intern, so there's 3 of us who are working there pretty much all the time. This is a copy of the Yedias van YIVO, the news of the YIVO from 1982, and this is the first document that announces the establishment of the YIVO Sound Archive under a grant of or a gift of $60,000 from the Weinstein family, and so the Sound Archive carries the name of the Weinstein family. Here's a poster that hangs in our office. This was a very important event because it was a bit of a catalyst and a marker for the beginning of the resurgence and interest in playing Yiddish music and also Yiddish language. This was a concert that was presented in New York by the great Yiddish clarinetist Dave Terrace in '78. It was sponsored by what is now the Center for Traditional Music and Dance in New York City, that currently runs the event Yiddish New York around between Christmas and New Year's in December. This is images of the 4, what are considered the 4 first bands to outside of Israel to be playing klezmer music in the States. Here we have the Klezmorim, Capella, the Klezmer Conservatory Band, and Andy Statman and Walter Zev Feldman. Coincidentally, I just been doing shows with the Klezmer Conservatory Band with Itzhak Perlman. We just performed one in San Francisco, and our next stop will be Houston, Texas. This is when I worked at YIVO in the 80s and 90s. YIVO was housed in this building. This is on, if you know New York, this is on the corner of 86th Street and 5th Avenue. It was a former mansion owned by the Vanderbilt family. And the Sound Archive in those days, even though I didn't work in the Sound Archive at that point, is if you see that little white thing at the top, that's where the Sound Archive, the Film Archive, and the publication office where I worked as a Yiddish typesetter, and on Klez Camp, the Yiddish Folk Arts program. Let's see here. Okay, so every year there would be a program in New York around that area, which is known as Museum Mile. And this is the band Capella playing outside of the YIVO building. There you have Michael Alpert with the fiddle, Ken Maltz with the clarinet, and Henry Sapoznik on banjo. And Henry was the first sound archivist at YIVO. Here's a photo from the Yedias. That's me. They're with the beard. Jenny Romaine, who was the assistant sound archivist, and Henry Sapoznik. At the time, I was the coordinator of Klez Camp, the Yiddish Folk Arts program, which ran for some 30 years in New York and was sort of the catalyst for many other educational events around Ashkenazic Jewish culture throughout the world. Speaking of Klez Camp, here's a photo of Adrienne Cooper, who hired me originally at YIVO as her assistant. There you see me at the piano, and there's Judy Bressler, who just did this concert with the Klezmer Conservatory Band with me. And there's my mom also. Okay, so let's see. Here's the staff of Klezkamp, many people who went on to be luminaries in the klezmer scene, and writers, Josh Woletsky, his mom, Cyril, who was a great artist, paper cutter, the dancer, choreographer Felix Fiebig, Hank Isnetsky of the Klezmer Conservatory Band, and various other people. Here we're going to talk about the sound recordings at YIVO. They're present in over 130 of YIVO's archival collection, including the papers of composers such as Lazar Weiner and Vladimir Heifetz, cantors, choruses such as the People's Philharmonic Chorus and the Workers' Circle Chorus, literature and theater, luminaries such as Chaim Grade, Joseph Buloff, and Luba Kadison. And also in collections of labor history, such as the Bund, the Jewish Labor Committee, the Workers' Circle again, and the oral history of the labor movement. And in fact, YIVO is currently digitizing its Bund collection, and through that, other recordings that have to do with the labor movement. The Sound Archive itself contains over 20,000 commercial recordings. Many people have actually never seen some of these artifacts in person. 78 RPM shellac discs spanning the years 1901 to the 1950s, LPs, 33 RPM vinyl discs, which are now going through a resurgence, spanning 1948 to the present, compact discs, audio cassettes, and even some Yiddish 8-track tapes and piano rolls, among other formats. And these comprise folk songs, art songs, instrumental or klezmer music as we know it now, cantorial recordings, theater, and comedy. Here is the one part of the YIVO stacks. This is our collection of what are colloquially called 78s or shellac records. We are now at about 3,700 discs and counting. And we do get donations quite frequently. This is our vinyl collection. These are LPs, and with both of these collections, our goal is to collect 3 copies of each one. With the vinyl era, we also up until around 1970, records were made in both stereo and monaural formats. So we try to have at least one of each of those. And I'm currently in the process of refining our catalog of these artifacts and migrating them to the main database of YIVO books and archival materials. So here are, these are banker's boxes full of mostly archival preservation copies of parts of our collection. This used to be the state of the art to transfer materials to reel-to-reel audio tape, magnetic tape. So these are mostly those sorts of artifacts. Here's another section of the YIVO Sound Archive, including some videotapes. And if you see those sort of up in the right-hand corner, if you see those brown boxes, that's a collection of recordings off the air of the radio station WEVD in the 1980s and early 90s by a gentleman, just a civilian who was interested in collecting recording materials off the air. And since WEVD didn't save much of anything, they are the only copies of some of these programs, and they're custom-made boxes with a complete log of what materials are contained in them. So here's going to be some images of artifacts. These are piano rolls. And when I came to YIVO as a sound archivist, the boxes were marked as being cylinders, but they are in fact piano rolls, which we'll hear example of in a little bit. We didn't actually used to have any cylinders, which are the format that predated shellac records and sort of intersected with it. But we recently had a donation of wax cylinders, and we don't have a machine to play them, so at some point we'll send them out and have them copied. This is Edison, what's called an Edison diamond disc. There were two formats on which commercial records were made, and of discs. This was the one that replaced the cylinder and uses a method of recording called hill and dale, which is the grooves are recorded up and down rather than side to side, as became the preferred format. Interestingly enough, you see the little red star there. So apparently Edison had them mark records with this star that he didn't think vendors should buy many of, because in his opinion, they wouldn't be big sellers. Go figure. This is one of three gramophones that we have in our collection, two of which are working, and one of which is very small. It's a picnic gramophone. If I was in person, I would actually bring it along and show it to you, but I don't have that option right now. Many of the early non-commercial materials that we have, such as recordings of YIVO folklore and linguistic clubs and projects, were recorded on these green flexible discs, which are called SoundScriber discs. And this is the machine that they were made on. I believe that this was the machine that was used by Bina Weinreich to record her project documenting the dialects of Yiddish. This is our reel-to-reel machine for playing reel-to-reel magnetic tape. This is one of the boxes of that collection that I pointed out in the upper corner of that other photo. As you can see, there's a log, and these are cassettes and handmade boxes. This is our reference library that's in our office, which comes in very handy because it's right behind where I sit. Might seem some familiar titles there. Since the passing of Hanam Lotek in her 90s, YIVO's former and longtime print music archivist, YIVO has not hired another print music archivist, so many of the questions that come from researchers about music get fielded to me and to Eleanor Bizunski, who is my colleague in the Sound Archive. So this is just a part of our sheet music collection. All right, so here we're going to start listening to some examples of materials from our collection. I promised that I was going to play you piano roll. This is a piano roll that was played by a gentleman named L.A. Kaplan. This is a theater song, Alt Tashlichenu, and you can see, so for those of you who don't know what this is, it's a mechanical piano that plays by itself through a system of suction and things that make the keys strike the strings. These generally have, as you can see, where it says tempo marking up in the corner, in the right corner. So going along that side, if it was a song, they would have the words for people to sing along with the piano. So let's listen to this piano roll. Yeah, so we now come to our commercial 78 collection, our collection of shellac records, and we have some very rare and unusual materials in this part of the Sound Archive. Here we have a recording that was made by the author, beloved author Sholem Aleichem, who lived from 1859 to 1916. Any artist who is going to make recordings would have to do a test recording for a given label to see how their voice reproduced on the primitive equipment of the time. These recordings were all acoustic and completely mechanical. This is before the advent of microphones. So they recorded into a horn onto that was reproduced by a stylus and engraved on a certain kind of wax, and then through electromagnetic process was made into a stamper, which stamped these discs, which were extremely breakable. If you dropped them, that was the end of that. So in 1915, a year before Sholem Aleichem died, he made this test recording of two excerpts from his stories. Here he reads, Wenn ich bin Rothschild, if I were Rothschild, which, if it sounds familiar, was the source of the name of the song, If I Were a Rich Man, from Fiddler on the Roof. So we'll hear Sholem Aleichem read a bit of his story, recorded in 1915.
Wenn ich bin Rothschild, am Monolog von Sholem Aleichem. Wenn ich bin Rothschild, wenn ich soll sein Rothschild. Erstens wollte ich gegeben mein Idene Adreierl, als kommt der Schabbat, soll sie hoben bei sich in Käschen ja Adreierl, es soll mir der Dinkes Podek. Und zweitens, sicher gestiert, wollte ich sie ja weggegeben, den ganzen mit der Kammer, mit dem Kehler, mit dem Stall, mit dem Stellachle, mit dem Bejarni, mit Backel, nicht gefleckt. Sich wollte ich übergelassen, nur ein Geiler auf Beknell, In de Simmerike wordt zich weggegeven hier met der Kirch, Nadje, Bakje, Kochje, Broedje, Brandje, en al de zwarte joden.
So this recording was never intended for release, but when Shalom Aleichem passed away in 1916, the record label decided to issue these as a commemoration. And so they were put out on this special purple label on one side of a disc. And there aren't many copies of this, but we have one, and I was able to play it for you today. And it's one of two known recordings of the voice of Shalom Aleichem. The other was an opening of an exhibition of the Ansky the expedition in St. Petersburg in the early 20th century. So one of the most exciting things about these early recordings is how spontaneous they are. We didn't have the luxury of magnetic tape or of digital editing or of auto-tune or any of those sorts of niceties that we have now. So these early recordings are very much live performances, including people clearing their throat. I think that they weren't seen as something that was going to last. But one of the more prolific performers was this gentleman, Frank Zeiden. As you can see, he had other skills besides singing. He apparently was conducted seances and was a magician and also a fire king and ventriloquist. But he made a series of really great records for various labels in the very, very early years of the recording industry. So here's one that was recorded in 1901, sometime around 1901 or 1903. This is a song from the Sorceress, one of Abraham Goldfaden's most popular operettas. Usually it's sung by the soprano, but here it's sung by Mr. Zeiden, and you'll hear why that is one of the reasons why that's kind of amusing. Another interesting aspect of reproducing these recordings is that sometimes we're not sure about what speed they're supposed to be played at. There were kind of known labels, certain labels recorded at 80 RPM, some recorded at 76 RPM. 78 is kind of records didn't get codified at specifically 78 until the advent of the electrical era, which is around 1925. So this is just an educated guess about what Mr. Zeiden sounded like, but I think it's a good one.
Op bergen läggan klein Oj vakna våra ging bebej melle In vilden var valt allein Oj vakna våra ging bebej melle In vilden var valt allein brennt och stark in Köpele där regen fast oss upp I trappen på de blev ett ställe och rinnen vid träden upp och vet I trappen på de blev ett ställe och rinnen vid träden upp Ain't that nice, huh? Kanske har du sett Harim, es putzt im Frei der Wind. Zu dem Michelen Jesäumele, heut bin ich jeglichen Nazin. Oi weh, zu dem Michelen Jesäumele, heut bin ich jeglichen Nazin. Arachmones Leben. Der Tat ist nicht du, kein Mama hab ich nicht, a Stiefmutter verirrt. Sie quält mich heu im Gängchen, Mensch, nehmt dich nicht unvermirrt. Oi weh, sie quält mich heu im Gängchen, Mensch, nehmt dich nicht unvermirrt.
Yeah, so we learn so much about stylistic aspects of performing this music, about dialects, about interpretation, about ornamentation. So these early recordings are, you know, a link to the past that are our only, in some cases, our only, you know, way of finding our way back there. Interestingly enough, the record label says that this is sung in Hebrew, which it's not. It's obviously in Yiddish. Let's go on to the next. Oh, so now we're going to move on to Frau Pepi Litzmann, another prolific recording artist in the early part of the 20th century. Pepi Litzmann was a Brodersinger. She was one of a group of performers who sang in inns and in bars and had the kind of delivery where she had to be heard across a room full of people drinking and having a good time. So you'll hear her style. This is a European recording that was made around 1913, and this is the American issue of this recording. And there you see Pepi Litzmann wearing a typical outfit. She part of her career was that she often played roles dressed up as a young man. So there's Pepi Litzmann in a very stylish suit. And it looks like she was in something called Der Grüner Bucher. So here she's singing a folk song, Hot Ayid a Weibele.
habe ungeheuben sehr starke Bänken, die Säume sollen durchgehen, ei, meinen, da ist der Wabberle, da war bei jederle, bei jeder Wabberle, oi, Mama, euer Resieren Lab, war ein Gigi machen, schluckt mit na Wab, da ist der Wabberle, da war bei jederle, da ist der Wabberle, wie man hoch, du in der Ricke heimgebracht. Oh, wer geht der Tag mit der Nacht, oi, da ist der Wabberle, da war bei jederle, was da jeder Wabberle.
Yeah, one of my favorites again, and Jeanette Levitsky in San Francisco has been developing a program around Pepi Littman's repertoire. So we come to klezmer music, and one of the earliest recording artists playing this instrumental dance music is Belf's Romanian Orchestra. These are, we don't know much about Mr. Belf, but he made a series of recordings again in the early 20th century, and he was apparently so popular that there were cover versions made of several of his tunes, and by other competing companies under the name of In the Style of Belf. So Belf's records were quite popular, and as we'll hear, certainly influenced other musicians. So here we're going to hear one of these rare recordings, Chaban. We can date this to February 1912 because of the research done by a gentleman named Jeff Wallach, who did some digging and found catalogs of these different labels, and through that was able to date some of these recordings. So here is Chaban. So it's interesting that this early recording starts this choice of playing one song over and over again on the side of a record. I think generally we know that when people were performing such tunes in a live situation, they would record. They would play several tunes in a medley. The other thing that was part of the recording industry was that a lot of these tunes didn't necessarily have names, but for the purpose of selling records, the musicians would have to come up with names for these tunes. Also for the purpose, certainly in the United States, of being able to copyright the material. Here is just to show that these records were in people's that the people were aware of them. Here is this is a particularly unusual tune, but apparently it was known by Dave Terrace because several 2 decades later, he recorded the same song. Also just with a change of instrumentation and with the addition of another section. And here you kind of hear the sort of transfer of this European tune to like an American sort of sound world. This is the same tune recorded in 1941, and we hear an upgrade in the recording quality because, like I said, in 1925, we started using microphones for recording commercial discs. Here we go. Yeah, so again, there we hear the sound of the trap kit, the drum kit, very kind of an American that comes from the jazz or popular music world. Also, unlike the previous recording that we heard, the clarinet is really front and center there. So we're going to move on. Here's a rare recording by the Abe Schwartz Orchestra. This is the sort of the model for the sound of the Klezmer Conservatory Band of Boston. And this was one of the major influences on people who were in the early klezmer revival. This is a label called Strong that lasted for about 9 months in 1923, 24. Here you'll hear the sort of big band, so-called big band sound that people were emulating. You hear strings, you hear brass, you hear woodwinds, all combined together. And again, we're talking about still a rather primitive recording process. So somehow they managed to fit everything in. Well, even given the popularity of these instrumental tunes in the resurgence of interest in this music, the records that sold the most in this period were cantorial records, and klezmer actually was the least represented genre in that period. Which is why those records are all the more precious. But we'll hear an example of one of the great Golden Age cantors, Berle Chagi. This is a recording that was made in 1920, and you'll hear all of the various beautiful stylistic, expressive, and emotive effects that he uses on this performance. Oh, sorry. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Oh, someone asked if you can come and listen. If you can listen to this stuff online. We don't really. We haven't made. We've sort of made a decision not to prioritize commercial recordings because they are available in other collections, which would include Florida Atlantic University and the Mayrant collection at University of Wisconsin at Madison. So you can go there to those sites and listen to your heart's content, especially the Mayrent collection, which is open for general listening. And we have our collections all overlap, but what we are doing is we are making available the information that we have about these recordings, and also non-commercial materials that are one of a kind that we have in our collection. So those things we are digitizing, and I'll be talking about them in a couple minutes. So in the meantime, let's go back to Berle Chagi. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, so the next most popular genre of recordings of Yiddish material was theater music. And here we have one by the great Aaron Lebedev. If you know Romania, that's probably his most well-known tune. Lebedev had quite a long recording career from the teens of the last century in Europe to the 1950s in the States. Here's a rare example of Lebedev singing what I believe is a folk song, and you'll hear Lebedev's style of singing, again, like Pepi Littman, someone who is used to being in a theater setting with no microphones and basically having to reach the back of the theater with his voice. So here is Aaron Lebedev singing Lebedik Yankel.
Hab noch nicht keine Meure, lebendig, lebendig, wir haben a größere Beure. Schirre wir im Weibele Main, schirre wir vom Herzog nach Rhein, soll doch nicht vermorgen, Jachtschiederem, Gott wird sie versorgen, Jachtschiederem, soll doch nicht mein Weibel, Jachtschiederem, soll doch nicht mein Teufel, Jachtschiederem. Lebedik, lebedik, wohin der Schneider Moishe Mottel in a Hintergesu und statt verlassen das Kapottu sieht der Fina Fläschu. Sein Weibel schreit in Hotta seinen Nem, sagt sie der Nidu, sorg nicht, sagt der Sure Breine, in singt dir Sidus Lidu. Lebedik, lebedik, wir haben a größere Beure. Lebedik, Jankel, hab noch nicht kein Meure. Schiribiribim vom Weibele Main, schiribiribim vom Herzog nach Rhein, soll sich nicht vermorgen, Jachtschiederam, Gott wird sie versorgen, Jachtschiederam, soll sich nicht mein Weibel, Jachtschiederam, soll sich nicht mein Teufel, Jachtschiederam. Lebedik, der Malamed ist ganz frei und leer und chimes rasche, kim sein Weib und zieh ihm, fragt bei ihm a Kasche. Was wird sein, euch geben, ist das ihr, das mein Ding, gibt sich a Gras im Plätze, in hebt sich zu singen. Lebedik, lebedik, hab noch nicht keine Meure. Lebedik, lebedik, wir haben a größere Beure. Chiribiribim vom Weibele Main, chiribiribim vom Teufele Main, soll sich nicht vermorgen, Jachtschiederam, Gott wird sie versorgen, Jachtschiederam, soll sich nicht mein Weibel, Jachtschiederam, soll sich nicht mein Teufel, Jachtschiederam.
So, I wanted to juxtapose these two records because here you hear the change in vocal technique between a theater technique and someone who is singing for a microphone. This is very similar to the difference, say, in American music between Al Jolson and say Bing Crosby. So someone whose vocal technique is theater based to someone who is has a microphone based vocal technique. So this is a rather lively song, a wartime song performed by the great Seymour Rechtsait with the orchestra directed by Abe Elstein. And again, here you'll hear Dave Terrace. This is a fantastic performance, but also says a lot about the way singing is starting to change as it is affected by the advent of the microphone and also by radio. And Rechtszeit, as we're going to start to move a little bit into Yiddish radio. So here we'll hear Seymour Rechtszeit with the Elstein Orchestra and Dave Terrace performing Hasene Tanz.
Spielt auf a Hasene Tanz für alle Kalles, weil die Hassanen kommen bald daheim zurück. Nicht mehr Bänke, nicht mehr Tränen, lichtig werden die Welt an Wehren leben, zusammen in Schule mit Glück. Spielt auf a Hasene Tanz, gerät uns für Bekleidel, entgegengehen, was die wie abers mal geschehen. Zurück von Feldern, von Jammen, zu sein Kalle, Tate, Mamen, Frieden, wird Menschen nachher begehen. Von unten weit, ihre Heldigkeit wird klingen, die Welt befreit, jetzt werden sie Liebeslieder wieder singen. Klezmer spielt auf Freilichs mit Glanz, weil wir Hussen Kalle tanz nach Hasene Tanz. Wer's nicht auf dem Briefele mehr schreiben, wie stark die Banks, die hast immer so lieb. Sag nicht, wär's kein Mädel nicht verbleiben, oi, bald mit ein Seeweg boyen an eigene Stieb. Gekämpft hat dort wie ein Held, ein Sieger, in jeder Neut getracht hat von dir. Jetzt wird müssen kämpfen mit der Schwieger, oi, mit der Weib und kleine Kinder vier. Oi, Feigele, Hannele, Rückele, Zierele, Freidele, Malkele, Ruchele, Mirele, Eier, Hussen, Kerze, hingeschwind. Oi, die Welt bin Steicher, Maseltoff und Zinn. Der Heldigkeit wird klingen, die Welt befreit, jetzt werden sie Liebeslieder wieder singen. Klezmer spielt auf Freilichs mit Glanz, bald werden Hussen Kalle tanz nach Hasene Tanz.
So we're going to talk a little bit about radio programs. They document the golden age of Yiddish radio in the United States, broadcast on stations such as WEVD and WHN. We have over 1,200 Yiddish radio programs spanning the 1930s to the 1990s, including YIVO's WEVD show from 1963 to 1976. Recordings of Art Raymond's Sunday Simcha, the Chicago-based Jewish Community Hour, Yiddish Melodies and Swing from the 1930s to 1955, and radio dramas. You can check out more of this material at the Henry Sapoznik collection at the Library of Congress. Here we're going to hear excerpt from the program Yiddish Melodies and Swing. The date of this is unknown, but the program ran from the 1930s to the mid-50s. The program mostly featured the Berry sisters and Jan Bart and Sam Medoff, who was the son of a very prolific recording artist, David Medoff, and he was also known as Sammy Mead and was also prolific composer and band leader. But here he is in his Yiddish mode. Again, Dave Terrace is featured in this program. So we're going to hear a little bit of Yiddish melodies and swing.
Manischewitz, Manischewitz, first name in matzah baking everywhere. Of all the words that greet the ear, the nicest are, we're glad you're here. So hello, friends, and welcome again to another cheerful chapter of your favorite folk tunes in the bright modern rhythms of Yiddish swing. The B. Manischewitz Company proudly presents the Barry Sisters, Perkin Gay, Jan Bart, singing star of radio, Sam Medoff, and the Yiddish Swing Tet. Oh, tell me, pretty maidens do, what is it all the lads say to you?
On that little secret, we'll let you in. We're so bright that they tell us, scheinst wie die Sinn.
Wie scheinst wie die Sinn, in die Leicht wie die Levone. Deine Augen wie die Sterben, in den Himmel lachen, seh ich viel Azun. Dir zu sein, ist mein Leben in Sekunde. Wenn ich sehe dich, geht mein Hart sich an der Frei. Wenn ich seh dich, geht mein Hart sich an der Frei. Doch wenn die bist, du ist gut. Wenn die bist nicht, du ist Nacht. Den Himmel auf der Erde kommt sie mir ausgebracht. Schön, wie die sehen, in die Leicht wie die Levone. Hab dich es lieb, schwer ich ist voll day. You shine like the sun when you look at me, my darling. There's a light in your eyes like the blue, blue skies when the summer showers through. You're like the moon on a lovely summer evening, and the feel of your hair is a thrill so rare. I'm so in love with you. When you're near, dear, I'm as blue as can be. But when you're not here, dear, I'm so blue, blue, woe is me. Die scheint wie die Sinn, in die Leicht wie die Levone. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Ich hab dich emes lieb, schwer ich fall
Yeah, so these are, of course, all live performances taken off of the radio. So they have a certain quality to them that is quite thrilling. And of course, the Barry Sisters there's no one else like them. Here we're going to hear an instrumental that was made especially for this program. It's called Russian Ride.
The pale moon bathes the Russian steppes in silvery light, and the crisp night air is fresh and clear as Maestro Sam Medoff and the merry musicians of the Yiddish Swing Tet bounce along to the tune of Russian Ride.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the remarkable field recordings that we have at YIVO. In many different formats, wire recordings, those SoundScriber, those green flexible plastic discs, spontaneous acetate-coated discs, which is how a lot of radio programs and Ruth Rubin, for instance, used lacquer discs to record in the early part of her collecting career. Reel-to-reel magnetic tapes and audio cassettes. Part of this collection includes material collected by Benedict Stambler, who was mostly known as the co-producer for Collectors Guild, his record label, but he also made a lot of recordings of Hasidic music in Brooklyn for various simchas and events. Recordings of YIVO events, including workshops, classes, lectures, interviews, and oral histories. And the three major collections of folk songs that we have, the Ruth Rubin collection, the YIVO Folk Song Project, and the Ben Stonehill collection. Here is the Ruth Rubin legacy, which you can find online at ruthrubin.yivo.org. And this is a standalone site devoted to the collection of Ruth Rubin's field recordings. It also includes manuscripts of that she made transcriptions of songs. It includes videos. It includes discographies, and we continue to add to this collection. As it says here, we have over 2,000 songs are available on the site by 211 performers recorded from the 40s to the 70s. 85 reel-to-reel tapes of 170 have been digitized. 141 lacquer discs containing 450 songs, in addition to 260 audio cassettes. The site includes the documentary Ruth Rubin, A Life of Song, and other videos, and we acquired the outtakes from that film, which have been digitized, and we hope to place them online in the near future. An unpublished autobiographical manuscript and other works from Ruth Rubin's papers, biography, bibliography, discography, and new projects based on her collection. So we'll hear a bit from her collection. This is a recording of the partisan of Vilna and songwriter and author Shmerke Kaczerginski performing his song Tatis Mames Kinderlach, Boy in Barrikaden, on his visit, recorded on his visit to New York in 1948. And you'll hear that Ruth Rubin can't help but join in at the end.
Das Lied, was ich vielleicht da ausingen, Tatis Mames Kinderlach, Boy in Barrikaden, habe ich angeschrieben, dachte ich mir mit der Jahr 15, ja noch mehr, mit 20 Jahren zurück. Dann, ich habe es geschrieben, dann für die Arbeiterjugend von Vilna, welche vielleicht jeder Schabbos gehen auf Spazier hinter der Stadt. Und jeder Schabbos vielleicht für sie schreiben ein Lied und zwischen sie, Tatis Mames Kinderlach, Boy in Barrikaden, was sie geworden, dann noch dachte ich mir, bekannt in der ganzen Welt. Also ich will singen, weil dann wieder gedenke. Tatis Mames Kinderlach, Boy in Barrikaden, Tatis Mames Kinderlach, Boy in Barrikaden, auf die Gassen gehen herum, Arbeiter ertragen, auf die Gassen gehen herum, Arbeiter ertragen. Sie ist der Tate früh von Stuba weg von der Fabrik, sie ist der Tate früh von Stuba weg auf der Fabrik, Wetter schön nicht die Welle nicht kommen heim zurück, Wetter schön nicht die Welle nicht kommen heim zurück. Sie ist die Mama euch weg in Gas verkäufen Nepal, die Mama euch weg verkäufen Nepal, steinig ich verjossen die Teller mit dem Teppel, steinig ich verjossen die Teller mit dem Teppel. Es wird nicht sein kein Wetschere, sagt Chanele die Jaten, es wird nicht sein kein Wetschere, sagt Chanele die Jaten, sie ist die Mama euch weg mit dem Helfen dem Taten, sie ist die Mama euch weg mit dem Helfen dem Taten. Plötzlich Trachapule ist rein in kleinem Stiebel, plötzlich Trachapule ist rein in kleinem Stiebel, vorbeigeflogen Chanelen, gemacht in Wand der Griebel. Hanelen gemacht die Wand der Griebel. Oi, Base, ich schlimmele, Kinder kommt mit mir. Oi, Base, ich schlimmele, Kinder kommt mit mir. Motten nimm die große Korb, mehr ke die Tier. Motten nimm die große Korb, mehr ke die Tier. Die Schufladen von Kamot mit an alte Fass. Die Schufladen von Kamot mit an alte Fass. A Barrikade stell mir auf in mitten Gas. A Barrikade stell mir auf in mitten Gas. Die Barrikade aufgestellt in Stiebel, nicht da keiner. Aufgestellt in Stiebel, nicht da keiner. Laufen Polizei vorbei, die Kinder warfen Steiner. Laufen Polizei vorbei, die Kinder warfen Steiner. Was mir, wenn mir Wetschere, dunneren Harmaten. Wenn mir Wetschere, dunneren Harmaten. Kinder laufen Stiebele, helfen Mamentaten. Die Kinder laufen Stiebele, helfen Mamentaten. Ist das Mames Kinderlach in Barrikaden? Das Mames Kinderlach bei in Barrikaden. Auf die Gassen gehen herum, Arbeiter traden. Auf die Gassen gehen herum, Arbeiter traden.
So I talked about the Benedict Stambler collection. Here we'll hear a recording of the Rudy Teppel Orchestra recorded at a wedding. This is a Mojitz Niggun, Mojitz Hasidic sect Niggun, recorded around 1960. So, recently we've acquired, we have received the tapes of the YIVO Yiddish Folk Song Project, one-of-a-kind collection of oral history centered around traditional Yiddish song. This contains 320 hours of 2,000 Yiddish folk songs and oral histories from 75 informants aged 40 to 80. The recordings were made as a series of interviews conducted by 15 Yiddish fluent field workers in New York, Toronto, and Montreal under the direction of Dr. Barbara Kirschenblatt-Gimblett between 1965 and 75. The audio portion of the collection has been digitized and is available online at cjh.org. The corresponding written documentation awaits digitization. So here you can see, if you go to cjh.org and you search for Yiddish Folk Song Project, you'll find where the recordings are stored, and you can listen to all of them there. Here you can see artifacts from the collection, and also an event that was a talk about the collection that was given around the time that the collection was made. Here's one of the recordings from the collections.
Und du ist löschen dem herrlichen Feier und gib mir schön, wenn ich will. Wenn du willst, kann dir nicht geben, weil darf noch zum Preis stehen. Als wird bescholem dem Preis überkommen, dann wird deiner sein. Mame, meine, Mame feine, mit kein Reichtum sollst du nicht stolzieren. weil ich hab gesehen viele reichere Verdier, zu Bettelbrück sind sie gekommen. Tochter meine, Tochter feine, nimm schön, wenn du willst, als du kennst schelten deine Diener, Mame, to geh schön, wo du willst. Ja,
These interviews would provide the fullest, richest possible, not just context, but the singer's understanding of the songs themselves and of the situations in which they sang them, where they first heard them, when they first learned them, where and when they sang them, and for whom, what these songs meant to them. This is what Barbara had to say about the collection when she returned the tapes to us at YIVO in 2019. The other big collection that I mentioned was the Stonehill collection, which exists in several different archives, and Miriam Isaacs has been working on organizing and transcribing the songs. And here we have the page about the sound archive at the yivo.org site, and you can see a short video about the collection where I speak about the various parts of our holdings. And here is another part of that website. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed my talk. There's lots to explore at the Sound Archive, and I hope you'll come and visit us, or if you have some questions about the collection, you can get a hold of me via the website lsklamberg@yivo.org. And if anyone has any questions, I'd love to take them now. Thank you very much. Yeah, Jeff.
Ask people, I believe they can now unmute themselves. Lorin, thank you very much. This was fascinating. Let's see if there's any.
Oh, Jeffrey, you need to unmute.
I'm trying to do this. Allow. Yes. Jeffrey, I think you can unmute now. Try it again. Jeffrey? Are you unmuted? There
Yes,
you go.
thank you, Jay.
Sorry.
Yes. You mentioned very early something called the Helsinki Project, which is intriguing. Could you say something more about that? Whoa. Unmute Lorin.
Wow.
A colleague of mine, Simo Muir, who is professor of Yiddish linguistics in Finland, was alerted to the existence of some materials in a box in an office that was being cleaned out in the Jewish community, and it turned out that it was the lyrics and scripts that were written by this gentleman Jack Weinstein between the 1920s and the 1960s for the Yiddish-speaking community in Helsinki. Many songs and plays and operettas and such things. And so Simo asked me to help him produce a recording of songs from that. So you can find it's streaming, the material streaming on such platforms as Spotify, and it's also on YouTube. It's called Jack Weinstein's Helsinki Yiddish Cabaret, and it's really fascinating material from a little known pocket of Yiddishkites in Helsinki.
Thanks.
I don't see any other questions. Laura, I want to tell everybody that National YIVO is truly the repository of Eastern European history and language. The archives, the music archives are one essential piece of it. There's much more. You can go to the site at YIVO.org. What is the exact website?
Yes.
YIVOinstitute.org.
YIVO.org.
And if you want to donate to them, please do. I also would ask you to donate to Chicago YIVO, which you can do on our website, chicagoyivo.org. And we bring Lorin and we bring other lectures and entertainment on our website as well. Lorin, you're doing wonderful work. I thank you, and I thank everybody for joining us today. I am going to cancel the meeting and end the recording. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bleibt gesund.